Sometimes people tell me that they like my writing, or that they like my art. Whenever this happens, I feel a deep sense of guilt, as if I've gotten away with something, as if I've tricked them into believing that I'm better than I actually am. This is called imposter syndrome. But what if it isn't? What if you're just so used to deluding yourself that you've convinced yourself you have imposter syndrome? Have you ever considered the option that you might be a big fat faker who's pretending to have skills that they don't have? That's also called imposter syndrome. Whenever I watch other people's videos, I'm constantly comparing myself. This is something we all know we're not supposed to do, and yet we do it anyway. I get this feeling that somehow, everyone else is pulling their ideas from somewhere deep within, somewhere attached to a sense of self, something inside them that I don't have. You see, I was raised by wolves in the snowy mountains of Albania, and though I've learned to live among you as human and friend, I don't really know who I am. I believe that everything that I do and everything that I create is a crude pantomime of human experience. Even right now, I'm copying someone. Now, part of me would like to believe that this is just me being inspired by another artist and using elements of their art to express a truth that's deep within. I had the idea for this video for a really long time, but something was missing that I couldn't explain. It was only after watching ContraPoint's video about gender dysphoria that everything fell into place. And you should watch it, by the way, it's really good. So I am copying. I'm a copier. Everything I do is just a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Another part of this that makes it difficult is that I'm an American and I'm white. Many people of color have said the phrase, "white people don't have culture," to explain the atrocities of colonialism. And while I know this is demonstrably false, it is something that resonates with my lack of identity. One issue is that the typical ideal white American culture, often called Americana, is that it's pretty fucked up and doesn't mesh with the particular human I'm trying to mimic. It's steeped in racism, misogyny, and Christianity. I joked in a previous video that I was afraid of Christians, and honestly, I was only half joking. Christianity, especially the go big or go home way America does Christianity, makes me uncomfortable. So this is the culture that I have, but I don't want to participate in it, and I try to challenge it and distance myself whenever I can. But if that's the case, is it my culture at all? Or am I still the wolf girl? And I don't think that my experience is unique. I think a lot of white people struggle to rationalize their need to feel proud of their history and the historical evidence that we are all evil colonialist vampires rampaging through the world, destroying everything in our path. Some people solve this by reframing our atrocities as evidence of our superiority and strength. At best, it's historically inaccurate. At worst, it's only more proof that the only thing we're superior at is bullshitting. But Magdalene, you say, whites aren't just one unidentifiable blob. They come from all different countries, from England to Liechtenstein. So, what kind of white are you? So I've spent the majority of my life with very little information about my ancestry. I know my family is largely Scottish and Irish on one side, but the other side has always been a mystery, until recently. When my father passed away, I discovered that my grandmother used to tell people that we were Jewish. I say used to tell people because this is the only way it was ever discussed. And before we go any further, I'd like to say I'd appreciate it if you kept that information to yourself. Don't go telling, you know, that side of the internet. Now, while I'm a filthy degenerate atheist, I couldn't help but feel it was wrong to just let this information evaporate. Everyone else seemed to be ignoring it, and if I followed suit, this information would pass through my generation and be lost to history. So I decided to explore Judaism further. After all of my social justice videos had gotten me called a dirty Jew more than once. And all the douchebags of the internet seem to hate them, so let's see what all the fuss is about. What I found was a culture that had a lot of the same problems that dominant Christian cultures do, but have over the years adapted to changes in society. I found that some of the most iconic feminists in history were Jewish women, and the ideas of social justice and equality have either been spearheaded or supported by Jewish communities. I started reading any book about Judaism I could find, one of the best being Nothing Sacred by Douglas Rushkoff. So I went to a synagogue and had no idea what was going on, but the people were incredibly kind, and not in the creepy, one of us gooble gobble sort of way I'd experienced with Christians. I saw that many in their congregation had wildly different feelings about Judaism and even the existence of God. As I walked out of the temple, I felt something I had never experienced before: belonging, and a sense of ease with my identity. This was unfortunately short-lived, because you see, I'm not really Jewish. Jewishness is matrilineal, meaning it's passed down from the mother, and while this is my grandmother, it was on my father's side. Many Jews agree that you're still considered Jewish if you have a patrilineal connection, as long as you were raised Jewish, and, well... So you're not a Jew at all. You're just a big fat faker. You're just a big faker. Admit it, you're just another white girl appropriating other people's cultures so you can feel some sense of connection to something bigger than yourself that you can't have and you'll never have. So why don't you just give up and go back to Starbucks, Becky? I'm not really sure where to go from here. Imposter syndrome keeps me from feeling like I'm really a writer, or an artist, or Jewish, or really anything except a wild animal. But I suppose that a lack of understanding is better than a false one. Honestly, I'd rather have no answer than have an answer that hurts people. But now that I think about it, I did write this entire script. And I did edit this entire video. And I did make an entire video dedicated to neurotically analyzing my own Jewishness. L'chaim. This video is dedicated to Kyle Calgren, Dan Olson, Pushing Up Roses, Lindsay Ellis, ContraPoints, and anyone else I generally think is better than me. Special thanks to Adam D. Roop, Chandra Gielio, Amor Astandian, and R.F. Van Houten for their continued and gracious patronage over at patreon.com. This channel would not be possible without them. However, this channel is small and still in need of support, so if you liked this video, please consider becoming a patron of the show. I hope you'll subscribe to this channel and share this video with anyone you think might have imposter syndrome. See you next time. L'chaim. Oh, God, it's so bad.